Hey guys. Oh yes, it's another fun one. What do we have here today? Another proper adventure bike. The 2022 Yamaha Ténéré 700 World Raid Edition. Let's take her for a spin, see what she's like, and see how she compares to the brand new 2022 Ducati DesertX, which I've just ridden very recently. The Yamaha Ténéré 700 World Raid coming in at £11,800, so it's a little bit more expensive than the standard Ténéré, but that is actually considerably less than the Ducati DesertX that I've just ridden, which is about 14,500. You're saving yourself near enough £3 with this motorcycle. Let's get moving. Luckily, we have some off-track roads today, yes, to test out this awesome proper adventure bike. I can tell you, yeah, I'm not much of an off-road rider, but this is sick, this thing. I could get into off-roading. It is so much fun and easy as well. So let's quickly go over, before we get into the differences with the DesertX and which is better. Off-roading is awesome. Look, two hares. You see more wildlife. Ah! Ah! Sorry fellas. Let's just go over the differences over the standard Ténéré 7 with the World Raid. So with the World Raid for 2022, you've got steering damper, Olin steering damper, which has, I think it's either 18 or 21 different settings on it, so you can adjust that to your heart's content. You've got these awesome looking split fuel tank, and it genuinely is a split fuel tank, and it feeds into one another, but they are two separate compartments. So 23 litres, so you got more fuel capacity. The suspension has had quite a big improvement. It's got longer travel suspension, better quality travel suspension, and it's fully adjustable as well up front. You've got slightly higher ground clearance, and also, which I think is quite important, is this TFT dash looks absolutely stunning. You've got a 5-inch TFT full colour dash. Right, quick fire specs round. Engine, 689cc parallel twin, 72 brake horsepower, 68 Nm of torque. Suspension, KYB, front and rear, fully adjustable. 230mm travel at the front suspension. Rear, single shock absorber, 220mm travel, KYB. Onto the brakes. Front brakes, you have two 282mm discs with 2 piston Brembo calipers. Onto the rear anchors, a single 245mm disc with a single, again, Brembo caliper. Ground clearance, 255mm. Not bad going on ground clearance. Had to move it onto the flat for this one. Seat height. It's a tippy toes 890mm. So guys, hope you got all of the technical information there. Quick fire round. Thought we'd get that out the way because I just want to jump on and ride it some more. It's so much fun. Last but not least, tech spec. The wet weight is 220 kilograms. Now let's start comparing it a little bit to the Ducati DesertX. All of the technical specifications are really, really similar. So the weight of the Ducati is 223, the ground clearance of the Ducati is 250, this is 255. Same suspension travel at the front. I believe the Ducati may have 10mm more travel at the rear, but very identical. Yeah, very similar spec'd bikes, so why such a big price difference? Why 14,095 for the Ducati and why 11,800 for the Yamaha? Let's find out. To start off with, the obvious difference between the two, and the reason for a price difference, is the power and the engine. With 72 brake horsepower on this Yamaha and 62 Nm of torque, it's a nice amount of power, but the Ducati has basically, as close as you want, has a 1000cc engine. That V-twin Testa Stretta, lovely engine from Ducati, is putting out 110 brake horsepower, and I believe off the top of my head 92 Newton meters of torque. There's the first major difference. The Ducati basically has a fair bit more power, and I can say, having ridden them both very close back to back, you can notice it. The Ducati is a noticeably quicker and peppier motorbike. Another major reason for the difference in price specifications, despite the name Ducati, you know, you're getting that Ducati brand, they charge more for their motorcycles. It does have, the Ducati, a more premium feel to it, I would say that. But moving on, the Ducati, it's tech. The Ducati's loaded with tech, it really is, especially for an off-road biased adventure motorcycle. Is full of tech. It's got 6 different riding modes, phone connectivity, cruise control, heated grips. It really does have everything that your sort of GS's, Tiger 1200 adventure bikes have tech-wise. The Yamaha, much more basic. You don't have any riding modes, no traction control. Basically, if we go into the menu, everything's a little bit not as quite high quality as the Ducati. Basically, all you can adjust is ABS. So you got ABS on, ABS off at the rear, and all of this is sort of, you can change your trip and everything. Nothing really to write home about, if I'm being honest. So yeah, that's basically all you can change on the Yamaha. So one of the biggest difference, I would say, is the tech capabilities of the bike. If you're looking for a long range tourer that's slightly more comfortable, I'd look in the direction of the Ducati. What's she like to ride off-road? The Yamaha is epic off-road. If I'm being completely honest, I'm not a really experienced off-road rider at all. To be honest, I don't really know what I'm doing. Let's head towards the tarmac now. It's starting to rain and I'm not 100% sure if I'm allowed down here. If anyone of legal authority is watching, I'm definitely allowed down here. I've done my research. The Yamaha's sick off-road. Like, you don't have to adjust anything. I haven't turned the ABS off on the rear wheel. I've literally just come up here, and I can tell you can get on it a bit. If I was doing that on the Ducati, I'd probably feel a little bit nervous. It's got so much power, the Ducati, and yeah, you can put it in different riding modes and damp the power out. And I would say, I really like the simpleness of this Yamaha. Do you really need traction control on a bike like this? I personally don't think you do. Cruise control, heated grips would be nice, but you actually feel like the feeling of riding this, to me, feels more of an adventure experience than the Ducati. Sorry Ducati, I love that Ducati. I really like this. I really like the engine as well. When I first hopped on it, I thought, I don't know, you know, the Ducati is much quicker, much peppier, and for most instances, but a better motorcycle for on-road riding, I would say. But having ridden this for a bit and got used to the 700cc engine, that famous Yamaha CP2 parallel twin, it's lovely. The thing that Yamaha say is they want to keep it this 700 engine because they don't want to make it too intimidating, you know, for riding off-road as well. And I can feel that taking it off-road, it immediately fills you with confidence. I don't feel like it's going to throw me off or rip it around a corner or completely spin out. It feels really, really nice. And along with the dual split fuel tanks, awesome. It feels like you're really on like a Dakar sort of proper adventure bike. To keep it simple, I really like that. I don't see that as a negative on the Yamaha. Just to ram the point home, the Yamaha is mega fun off-road and really easy as well. I didn't do much right off-roading on the Ducati, but I'm going to give it to the Yamaha. I think the Yamaha's really fun off-road. Now, of course, these types of bikes are going to be ridden on-road, possibly if you're maybe schlepping it down to Spain or Portugal to hit some of the off-road tracks. You want to know what it's going to be like on-road riding. How does she feel? So it's tall, it's got big suspension, high seat height, and you can feel that. Very commanding riding position. You're sat upright. You've got this really cool 5-inch TFT. The windscreen's non-adjustable, but I would say, much like on the Ducati, the wind protection's really good. I was on the motorway earlier and I'm 5'9" and the wind protection's fantastic. No buffeting at all. It's almost sort of the perfect height for me. So the engine that is one thing where the Ducati definitely trumps the Yamaha on-road. It's a lovely engine, this CP2, but if you're more of an experienced rider, the Ducati, the V2 Testostretta engine, has got a lot of go. That thing really hustles on road. It's actually a really fun bike to ride on road. I would almost buy it just as an on-road bike. It's amazing. It's not to say this is underpowered or anything, it's just in those comparisons the Ducati definitely trumps the Yamaha. Riding down here, I was on the motorway doing legal speed limits, and the Yamaha, this engine's real smooth, you know, 75, and if you wanted to go 80, 85, you got your 6th gear, put it into 6th gear, and it's really comfortable. Less vibes from the Ducati, so you could argue that this is a more comfortable, pliable, friendlier engine actually for longer distances. That's a good point. Oh, here comes the rain. Lovely. What are the other riding dynamics like on road? Well, it's actually very nice. You've got the gear shifter. It's a really nice light throw on the gear shifter. Clunks into gear nicely, very sort of premium feeling, nice and light, easy to use gear action. But that is one difference where possibly the Ducati has it up on the Yamaha. On the Ducati, you're getting a quick shifter as standard, which is lovely for on-road. What are the brakes and handling like? So the brakes are an interesting one on the Yamaha. They're 2-piston Brembos. They're not really sharp. Oh, here we go, good use. They're not really sharp. They're actually quite a nice, progressive, gentle feel to them. Plenty of stoppage power there. When you yank on it, it's gonna, oops, excuse the pun, when you pull the brakes, it stops you very well, but it's not sharp. The brakes on the Ducati are a lot sharper and more powerful. However, I actually prefer the brakes on the Yamaha. I prefer that more gentle theme of things, where you've got a longer throw on the brake lever to actually get that stopping power through, and it matches up with the light gear shift and the less powerful, less possibly, sorry Ducati, vibey engine as well. It really is. It's growing on me more and more, this CP2 700 engine. It's a peach. They're really onto something with this. It's slightly reminiscent of the Africa Twin. Very characterful, smooth parallel twin. Suspension and handling on road from the Yamaha World Raid 700 Ténéré. Obviously it's got that 21-inch front wheel, and you can feel it. It's not really nimble around the corners, and I wouldn't describe it as quick to turn in. However, if you're not looking to hustle it too much, which with a sort of bike like this, I mean, you shouldn't be really, it's very nice for just riding at normal road speeds. It's got a sort of flow feel to it, the handling, I would describe it as. It flows very nicely through the corners. You're not going to be tipping it in really quickly. I got caught out earlier a little bit on a really sharp corner. It's good, it's smooth, hello pigeon, and you can have some fun with it, but it's not one of those 21-inch front wheel bikes where you're like, oh my god, it feels like a, you know, like a normal sports bike. It's not quite that. You can feel that 21-inch. The Ducati, on the other hand, obviously has that 21-inch front wheel, but on road, that Ducati is a beast. It handles really well. I'm going to give the Ducati the points, the win over the Yamaha for on-road handling. Still fun though. You can have fun with it, and that motor, as not being too powerful, you can really use all of the rev range there. Fuel tanks, guys. This looks really cool on the Yamaha, the split fuel tanks. I think that's a really nice touch from Yamaha for this World Raid model, which is actually, they've lowered the fuel tank compared to the standard T7. 23 litres of fuel in these tanks, which is a nice amount. Good, I think, for an adventure bike of this style that I think is designed to be taken in far-flung places where you may have long mileage between fuel stops and petrol stations, so that's nice. The Ducati is good as well. The Ducati has 21 litres of fuel tank range, but it also has an option, quite a clever option, the Ducati on the back on the right hand side, optional extra, where you can have an 8-litre little fuel tank back there, and then when you run out up front you have a little button and you can pump the fuel from that rear 8-litre one into the main fuel tank, which is awesome. I think that's a really cool little touch. I actually love the way you have to pump it as well. I think that makes you feel more sort of Dakar-y, off-roady. Fuel tank wise and range, I think they're both pretty similar. Neither here nor there for either of them. Both do a great job. Just a bit of proof for motor raid riding for you, or dual carriageway. Really easy, it's really comfortable this, even with the 700, the lower horsepower than the Ducati. It's really nice, comfortable ride, good wind protection, up in 6th gear, just cruising at 70, no problems. So we come back in to this bike's rightful owners, Blade Motorcycles. I want to give a massive shout out to Blade for allowing me to test ride this bike, and not only this bike, lots of other bikes. They've literally, as you can see, fantastic. Indian, Suzuki, Yamaha, Kawasaki, Honda, Triumph. It's great. Overall conclusions, what do I think of the bike and how do I think it compares to the Ducati DesertX? Which is the better bike? Really good question. The Ducati is near enough £3,000 more expensive, so Yamaha have built a great off-road motorcycle at a good price, although it is creeping up a little bit now with this World Raid edition. I've had really good fun on this bike today. It's fantastic off-road. It's great on-road. That engine in this is really special. So, benefits of the Ducati. The Ducati, I would say, is a better on-road bike. It feels slightly more premium. I personally love the looks of the Ducati, like the retro adventure style. It really looks like it's a wicked bike, that, especially in the flesh. Take a look at it, really cool. It's a fair bit quicker than Ducati. It's a lot of a quicker motorcycle. It handles slightly more responsive, better brakes, etc. Slightly more premium on-road. However, I have had such a good time on this motorbike today. Off-road, it's been an absolute riot and not too intimidating either, and I think that's down to the engine mainly and just how well this is built for off-road. On-road, as I say, it's not as responsive and peppy and sort of fiery as the Ducati. However, I've really enjoyed riding this on road. I feel you do get more of that Dakar off-road feeling to this bike. The handling's not as sharp either, but that engine, again, it's very relaxing. The Ducati is more peppy, slightly more in your face, ready to sort of get up and go to ride quicker. Whereas this is slightly more relaxed vibe to it. With the power being down, you can just sort of knock it up with the light gear throw up into 6th gear, and it's beautiful for just relaxedly sort of cruising into the corners, set and forget. It's not mega quick to turn in, but it's characterful and great fun on the road. I'm going to stop beating around the bush now. Which one am I going to go for? Which one do I think's better? I think it's down to personal preference, but I actually love the looks of this as well. Sorry Ducati, I would go for the Yamaha. Despite the price as well, I would go for the Yamaha. Really enjoyed the lower power of the engine, and I've actually really enjoyed the simpleness of it without all of the tech and everything, just as a simple bike. If it was my one and only bike, then it would be a different idea. I may start looking at the Ducati because of the extra speed and the tech and the comfortableness and the cruise control and the heated grips, but as a second bike, I think I'd take the Yamaha over the Ducati. Sorry guys, let me know what you think in the comments. Look forward to hearing from you. Many thanks for watching. If you're interested in one of these brand new World Raids, Yamaha, give Blade a shout. Link down in description for Blade Motorcycles. They've actually got a few in stock now, I believe. I was talking to George, the salesman, excuse me. Call them up, give George a shout, have a chat if you want to test ride one of these babies. Many thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you like the video, and see you in the next one. Ciao Bella.